Hi guys, how you doing? It's Coach John here and welcome to the very first Whiteboard Wednesday. Decided to set this up because we've been getting a few questions coming through from different guys asking about how to set up the training for the PFT or ongoing training. So I thought rather than just answering these questions over and over again, I'll just put together a video that people can refer to and it just cuts down time from there. Okay? So we'll kick this series off with the 1.5 mile run test for the PFT. So for the guys who've been emailing in, obviously for the Marines it's a cut-off point of 10 minutes and 30 seconds for the minimum standard to qualify to get into the Marines. For the guys who've been saying with this, it's hit and miss right now, but they want a target of 9 minutes to get in there to be more competitive and hit a higher standard of performance. So for them, decided to come together with this and talk a little bit about how you need to structure your training. So the guys have talked a little bit about doing more of the 1.5, which is great because you need to know where you currently sit, and if you don't practice the test, you're not going to get better at it. But there's going to come a limit of diminishing returns. So for these guys who've been practicing the 1.5 and been doing their 5Ks and 10Ks to build up that fitness, that's great because you need that capacity. But the 1.5 mile is short enough that you need to put an all-out effort, but still long enough that you need to be able to pace yourself a little bit. So it's understand how you feel for that and how to incorporate the speed work appropriately. So for going forward on this, how do we actually set this up? Well, we can just simply break it down mathematically. So if we look at the 1.5 mile test, or 2.4K, depending on how you want to break down your distance, you can either break down in thirds, so I typically do it, so you have half mile, half mile, half mile, or if you're looking at the kilometers an hour, you'd be in 3 sections of 800 meters you need to look at. So if we're looking to go from a 10 minute 30, 1.5, down to a 9 minute, we need to be able to shave off a minute and a half from that total time. So that's basically every half mile, you need to pull off 30 seconds from that time. So if you run currently at 10:30, it's 7 minutes a mile you're doing at the moment. So that's 8.6 miles per hour or 13.8 kilometers an hour. If you want to get down to 9, you need to be pulling in a 6 minute mile. And that's averaging out 10 miles an hour or 16.1 kilometers per hour. So that gives you an idea of how to set up your speeds. If you do the treadmill based testing, if you're going in for the Marines or for the Navy, for the guys who are going on continuation training where it won't be on the treadmill, or for guys from the army, then you need to look at how you're going to set this up outside. Because obviously the treadmill, you can get a little bit of feedback of the exact speed you're running at, whereas outside it's all going on how you feel. So on this next part, I'm just going to talk a little bit about how to break this down, how to test, and then how to break it down so you can get yourself set up appropriately outside. Okay guys, so we're just going to work out our maximal aerobic speed for running outside. Maximal aerobic speed is just the speed you can run at a maximum pace while still staying aerobic before you tick over to being into anaerobic, okay, where your threshold limit is. So for the purpose of this, we're going to break down the 1.5 is 2,400 meters, same distance just in kilometers, okay, just for working out this equation. So if I've got 2,400 meters, all I need to do is take my time that I've finished up my 1.5 in, so 10 minutes 30, and I convert that into seconds, so that's 630 seconds to complete the 1.5. If I complete it in 9 minutes, which is going to be the target, it's 540 seconds. So if I divide distance by time, I'm coming out at 3.83 meters per second for my 10 minutes and 30. All I need to do therefore from outside run to stay at this pace is say I times it by the number of seconds I want to run for, 20 seconds. I know I need to cover 76.6 meters in that time. If I want to do this at my 9 minute pace, dividing 2,400 by 540, 4.5 meters per second, times that by my 20 seconds, it's 90 meters I need to cover within that 20-second time period, okay? So all I need to do from there is I can set up an aerobic interval training process from here. So if I do 90 meters in 20 seconds, working at 1-to-1, I'll give myself 20 seconds rest, and I'll go back in and I'll do another 90 meters, okay? And I'll just build that up until I hit my total working distance, and I can build on that each week depending on where your fitness level is right now. So it could look something a little bit like this. Okay guys, so we've worked out where your aerobic intervals are going to be. So looking at your distance and your speed for each one. As I said before, you want to keep this as a 1-to-1 work to rest ratio, so still staying in the aerobic zone for it. So this could be either 20 seconds of work or 20 seconds recovery, and then going again for another 20 seconds, followed by another 20 seconds of recovery. Or you could jump up to 30 seconds on with 30 seconds off covering that distance, All that's going to change will be how far you cover within that distance if you work at 30 as opposed to 20. So looking at these numbers I've just put up here, this is based on working at 20-second intervals, and you can see the progressions we build up week by week. So start off with 2 sets of 6. First week you're going to cover 1,080 meters, just coming in over a kilometer, but that's going to be at your goal pace. Each week we're going to jump up by about 400 meters. By the time you get to week 5, you're just over that 1.5 or 2.4k distance, all at your desired pace as well. So that's going to help you bring in that 9-minute mark when you go in for your PFT. Okay, just make sure when you do your sets, it's all out effort for each run on each rep, and then just make sure you're recovering between those sets. So I usually recommend about 3 to 4 minutes between sets, and then come back in and get that second and final set done. Okay. All right, guys. Hope this helps. If you have any questions, please drop me a line, and I'll answer any further questions.